Before we go any further, take one slow, deep breath. Give yourself a quiet moment, not to escape life, but to reconnect with who you truly are. Because before we talk about becoming a high-value woman in 2026, there is one truth you need to embrace. Your worth is never something you chase, it is something you create from within. A high-value woman does not announce her value to the world. She doesn't depend on applause, attention, or social media approval to feel complete. She knows who she is, and that quiet confidence naturally shines through her thoughts, her words, and the way she carries herself every day. As 2026 unfolds, the world will continue moving at an exhausting pace. Trends will change overnight, opinions will become louder, and expectations will often feel overwhelming. In a world filled with constant noise, a high-value woman develops something far more powerful: inner peace. While others rush, she remains patient. While others react impulsively, she chooses wisdom before action. Her calm becomes her greatest strength. Imagine placing a diamond beside a piece of glass. At first glance, they both reflect light beautifully, yet only one grows stronger under pressure. The diamond survives because it was formed through intense pressure, while the glass easily shatters. Life will bring pressure into your relationships, your responsibilities, and your personal challenges. A high-value woman doesn't fear those moments. She allows them to refine her instead of breaking her. One of her greatest strengths is emotional maturity. She doesn't ignore her feelings, but she refuses to let them control her decisions. She experiences every emotion fully, yet responds with wisdom instead of impulse. When someone hurts her, she doesn't seek revenge. When she receives praise, she stays humble. She understands that emotions are guides, not rulers. Carry this lesson into 2026. Quick reactions may feel satisfying, but thoughtful responses reveal true strength. Silence is not weakness. Healthy boundaries are not selfish. Saying no isn't rude, it is an act of self-respect. She values her time because she understands that time is life itself. She no longer wastes energy trying to convince people who have already chosen not to understand her. Instead, she invests her attention where there is growth, respect, and genuine effort. Think about a young woman who spent months watering plants that had already died. She believed she simply wasn't trying hard enough. Then a gardener gently told her, "Your effort isn't the problem. You're pouring it into the wrong place." That lesson changes everything. A high-value woman carefully chooses where she invests her energy, her habits, her environment, her friendships, and her future. Another quality that sets her apart is discipline. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays. She doesn't wait until she feels inspired before caring for her health, expanding her mind, or honoring her responsibilities. She knows that every small decision shapes the woman she is becoming. What she consumes, what she listens to, what she tolerates, and what she refuses, all build her identity over time. True confidence isn't pretending to have no fears. It is accepting yourself while continuing to grow. She embraces her imperfections without allowing them to define her. She improves herself without constantly criticizing herself. She becomes both gentle and resilient, humble yet confident, compassionate yet unwavering. When it comes to relationships, she no longer chases validation. She attracts healthy connections by staying aligned with her own values. She doesn't beg for affection, attention, or commitment because she understands that genuine love grows through mutual respect. If something constantly requires force to survive, it probably isn't meant to remain. She knows that solitude is healthier than disrespect, and peace is always more valuable than chaos disguised as love. She remains committed to learning throughout her life. She reads, listens, reflects, and stays open to growth. Because knowledge creates clarity, and clarity builds lasting confidence. Being a high-value woman in 2026 isn't about perfection. It's about awareness, understanding your habits, recognizing your triggers, appreciating your strengths, and honestly, facing your weaknesses. Life will test your patience. People will misunderstand your intentions. Plans won't always unfold the way you imagined. Even through disappointment, she refuses to let pain transform her into someone bitter. She heals while protecting her kindness. Like a lotus blooming from muddy water without losing its beauty, she rises above difficult circumstances without allowing negativity to define her. She also refuses to compare her life with carefully edited moments online. Social media often displays highlights, not reality. Instead of measuring herself against someone else's filtered success, she stays focused on her own journey. She cares for her body because she respects herself, not because she's chasing approval. She rests without guilt, works with purpose, and understands the importance of balance. Her words carry intention. She avoids gossip because her mind is occupied with greater goals. She spends less time complaining and more time creating solutions. She speaks with kindness because she understands the lasting impact of every word. Most importantly, she is grounded in principles, not appearances. Her identity isn't built on titles, roles, or outside expectations. She forgives, not because everyone deserves another chance, but because she deserves freedom from resentment. Choosing to become a high-value woman means choosing lasting peace instead of temporary pleasure, choosing growth over comfort, and choosing self-respect over short-lived attention. Remember this above all else. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens one decision at a time. Every day, your actions begin to reflect your values, your words match your intentions, and your inner character aligns with the life you want to create. Walk with grace, but never abandon your strength. Speak with kindness, but stand firmly in your truth. Let your growth happen quietly, and allow your confidence to speak for itself. When a woman truly knows her worth, she doesn't need to prove it. The world naturally begins to respond differently. That is how you step into 2026, not searching for value, but living from it. And never believe that strength requires giving up softness. A truly high-value woman knows both can exist together. She can be compassionate without being easily manipulated. She can be gentle without becoming weak. She understands others without allowing herself to be taken for granted. You will make mistakes. You will trust people who disappoint you. You will sometimes choose the wrong path. But instead of punishing herself forever, she learns the lesson, makes the correction, and continues moving forward with greater wisdom instead of greater bitterness. There's an old story about a potter who shaped hundreds of clay pots. Some cracked during the firing process. Instead of becoming frustrated when some of his pottery cracked, the potter carefully examined each broken piece. Every crack taught him something about the fire. Life will place you in difficult seasons too. Rather than asking, "Why is this happening to me?" begin asking, "What is this experience trying to teach me?" That single shift in perspective can transform everything. A high-value woman becomes selective, not because she believes she is above others, but because she understands the value of her time, energy, and emotions. She knows that access to her life is earned, not automatically given. She no longer wastes her breath defending her standards to people who only benefit when she lowers them. She also releases the need to be liked by everyone. Respect matters more than popularity. Standing firm in your values will naturally cause some people to leave your life, and that's perfectly okay. A high-value woman never makes herself smaller just to make others feel comfortable. In 2026, she develops financial wisdom, not from fear, but from responsibility. She understands that money is simply a resource, never a measure of her worth. She learns how to earn, manage, save, and invest wisely, because financial independence creates freedom, and freedom brings peace of mind. Consistency becomes another defining quality. Anyone can impress people for a single moment, but a high-value woman builds trust over time. Her actions consistently reflect her words. People rely on her because she is dependable, steady, and genuine. She also masters the art of letting go. Not every ending comes with an explanation. Not every unanswered question will ever receive closure. Some chapters simply end, and that is enough. Real peace often comes not from understanding every detail, but from accepting what cannot be changed. In relationships, she communicates honestly instead of expecting others to guess her needs. She expresses herself calmly, without guilt or hostility. And when someone's actions fail to match their promises, she believes what they consistently do rather than what they repeatedly say. She no longer mistakes emotional intensity for genuine love, chaos for passion, or unhealthy attachment for true connection. Instead, she chooses relationships that bring peace, even if that kind of calm feels unfamiliar at first. Think about a woman who spent her entire life surrounded by the noise of a crowded marketplace. One day, she entered a peaceful garden, and the silence made her uncomfortable. She almost returned to the chaos she knew. But over time, she discovered that silence wasn't loneliness, it was peace. Growth often feels unfamiliar before it begins to feel like home. As 2026 unfolds, you will outgrow certain people, habits, and even older versions of yourself. Don't mistake that for betrayal. Growth is simply evidence that you're evolving. A high-value woman remains patient with herself. She knows meaningful transformation doesn't happen overnight. She celebrates small victories, continues showing up on ordinary days, and trusts the process even when progress feels slow. She also learns to receive kindness without questioning whether she deserves it. Compliments, support, and love are accepted with gratitude instead of discomfort. She doesn't diminish herself to appear humble. True humility means recognizing your worth without becoming arrogant. Her presence naturally brings calm because she is emotionally grounded. She spends more time listening than speaking, and when she does speak, her words carry purpose and intention. Remember this throughout 2026. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs the real you, someone grounded, authentic, and aligned with their values. Becoming a high-value woman isn't about constantly doing more. It's about living with greater intention, choosing yourself every day, and honoring your principles whether anyone notices or not. Eventually, you'll look back and realize your greatest transformation wasn't your appearance, your achievements, or your status. It was the way you think, the boundaries you created, and the respect you developed for yourself. You'll enter rooms without seeking approval. You'll leave unhealthy situations without carrying unnecessary guilt. You'll love deeply while still protecting your own identity. That is the quiet strength of a truly high-value woman. And in 2026, that woman is becoming you. As you continue this journey, something remarkable begins to change. You stop reacting to everything around you. There was a time when every opinion affected you, every criticism unsettled you, and every comparison drained your confidence. Now, you pause, you breathe, you choose your response instead of giving away your peace. That pause becomes one of your greatest strengths. A high-value woman understands that not every disagreement deserves her energy, and not every opinion requires a reply. Silence, when chosen intentionally, becomes an expression of wisdom rather than weakness. In 2026, you discover that peace isn't created by controlling everything around you. It comes from learning to guide your own thoughts, emotions, and reactions. You also stop waiting for permission, to dream bigger, to rest without guilt, or to say no when necessary. You realize your life doesn't require approval from society, family, friends, or even the person you used to be. You give yourself permission to grow. There is a story about a woman who spent years asking everyone else what decisions she should make. One day, she became exhausted by the constant search for answers. She sat quietly, listened to her own heart, and trusted herself for the first time. Even when she made mistakes afterward, she remained strong because her confidence no longer depended on always being right. It came from learning to lead her own life. A high-value woman embraces emotional maturity. She doesn't avoid difficult conversations, yet she also refuses to create unnecessary drama when honesty will solve the problem. She understands that emotional intelligence leaves a deeper impression than loud confidence ever could. She becomes comfortable sitting with discomfort instead of escaping through distractions. She knows healing isn't about pretending the pain never existed. It's about making sure those wounds don't cause harm to people who never created them. As 2026 continues, you become increasingly aware of your own patterns. You recognize the people who drain your energy and those who inspire you. You notice which habits move your life forward and which ones quietly hold you back. With that awareness comes the power to make wiser choices, and that is where lasting transformation truly begins. The more aware you become, the more your life begins to change. A high-value woman makes herself a daily priority, not only by caring for her appearance, but by strengthening her mind, protecting her health, expanding her knowledge, and nurturing her spirit. She understands that beauty may fade with time, but inner character continues to grow. That's why she builds a strong foundation before reaching for greater heights. She no longer sees other women as competition. Comparison is replaced with appreciation. Insecurity turns into inspiration. She understands that another woman's success never takes away her own opportunities. There is more than enough room for everyone to grow and succeed. She also discovers how to enjoy her own company. Being alone no longer feels like loneliness. It becomes a chance to recharge, reflect, and reconnect with herself. Solitude becomes a place of peace because she has become someone she genuinely enjoys spending time with. There is a story about a woman who feared being alone so much that she stayed in places where she was unhappy simply to avoid silence. Eventually, she chose solitude instead of settling. That single decision changed her life. In the quiet, she finally discovered who she truly was, and from that moment on, she never abandoned herself again. A high-value woman understands that love should enrich her life, never replace her identity. She refuses to lose herself just to be chosen by someone else. Instead, she chooses herself first, and that self-respect naturally attracts healthier relationships. As you move through 2026, you stop chasing validation. You stop giving more than you receive just to earn acceptance. You stop trying to convince people of your worth. Those who truly appreciate you will never require endless explanations. Your standards become stronger, not because you believe you're superior, but because you've invested time in healing, growing, and becoming wiser. You protect that progress because you know how much it costs to achieve. You also learn one of the greatest acts of compassion: forgiving yourself. You make peace with the younger version of yourself who simply didn't know what you know today. Instead of judging her, you thank her for surviving difficult seasons. You release guilt, carry less emotional weight, and continue forward with a lighter heart. A high-value woman knows that real transformation is rarely dramatic. It happens quietly, steadily, and often without anyone noticing. People only recognize the difference when they realize they no longer have access to the version of you that accepted less than you deserved. A high-value woman understands that discipline is one of the purest forms of self-respect. She doesn't wait until she feels motivated before caring for her body, developing her mind, or fulfilling her responsibilities. Even on days when she feels tired, uncertain, or uninspired, she continues showing up because she knows the woman she's becoming depends on the choices she makes today. Throughout 2026, you'll also discover that healing is never a perfectly straight path. Some days you'll feel confident and unstoppable. Other days, old emotions may unexpectedly return. A high-value woman doesn't criticize herself for that. Instead, she offers herself the same patience, understanding, and kindness that she once gave so freely to everyone else. Think of a woman learning to play the violin. In the beginning, every note sounded imperfect. She often questioned whether she should continue. Yet she practiced faithfully every single day. A year later, people admired the beautiful music she created. What they never saw were the countless hours of practice, the sore fingers, and the moments of self-doubt. Your journey will be much the same. Others will celebrate your success without witnessing the quiet work that made it possible. And that's perfectly fine. A high-value woman understands that boundaries are not barriers built to keep everyone out. They are thoughtful gates, and she decides who earns the privilege of entering her life. She no longer apologizes for protecting her peace instead of entertaining unnecessary chaos. She also transforms the way she speaks to herself. The harsh inner critic slowly becomes a compassionate guide. Instead of saying, "I'm not enough," she reminds herself, "I'm still growing." Instead of believing, "I failed," she chooses to say, "I learned something valuable." That simple change in self-talk begins to reshape her entire life. In 2026, you stop glorifying struggle. You no longer believe that constant suffering is proof of strength or worthiness. You welcome ease when it's available. Allow yourself to rest without guilt and choose balance instead of living in endless burnout. A high-value woman respects time, her own and everyone else's. She understands that every moment is valuable, so she spends it intentionally, making choices that reflect the woman she is becoming rather than the person she has outgrown.